Yo, yo, what is going on, everyone? We'll give people a couple minutes to jump on here. Harrison, what's up? I don't have two monitors, so I'm gonna have to jump back and forth between this screen and the presentation. What's up, what's up? Anna, Jack, Eric, John, Hamza, Javier, what's good, what's good? We'll give everyone a minute to jump on. I jumped on like 2 minutes early. Wanted to make sure it's working. It's going excellent. How's everyone doing today? This can be a lot of fun. We got a lot of people on here. You guys are not ready for, what is it, 32 slides, I think, is what we have inside of here. So I've got a very, very fun main topic. We're going to talk about how I made almost, and how this kind of upset me, almost 100 grand in 1 month. All right, if you guys saw today's YouTube video, actually, I talked a little bit about it. But there's a lot of stuff. You're hyped, glad to hear. Where's everyone from? I'm curious to see. I would assume we have people all across the board. Where is everybody from? Notebook ready, I like that. Let's rock it. Excited, you guys. Make sure to take some notes. I got a lot of key points that we're going to talk about in here. California, Sweden, Bakersfield, UK, Texas, Germany, Russia. Wow, everywhere. That's crazy. That is awesome to hear. I'm going to do some giveaways, so make sure that you guys kind of pay attention throughout because they're kind of at random points. So different questions, whoever answers first, answers correctly first, a lot of different stuff. So with that being said, you guys, let's jump in. I haven't done one of these in like 6 months, so I don't know. I don't exactly know the process exactly about when I'm going to do another, but there is no replay. So if you guys want to be on here, make sure you stay on here. But let's kick it off here. All right, I'm going to go through and explain a little bit about how I transitioned just into dropshipping itself. A lot of you guys, if you follow my YouTube channel, you know a lot about the other stuff I do. You know a lot about e-commerce, what I talk about, as well as just how I got into the business. But I've never shared some of this stuff before. So this picture, I don't think I've actually posted anywhere. This is me when I was 16 years old. Okay, that was right as I was just hitting like a 6-figure income. I just turned 16 years old. I was spending a lot of time in Miami. So I took the jet skis out to an island. That's where that picture was taken. And at that point, I'll explain later what that was that I was doing because it was just as I was transitioning into dropshipping. So if you guys know like the whole fidget spinner wave, that's around that time when all of this was happening. But it was pretty crazy because that allowed me to start traveling and like starting to just do a little bit more stuff that revolved around freedom and business. So it was really cool to kind of progress into that at 16. At 17, a lot of you guys know I got one of my dream cars. I'm going to be getting another shortly, but the one here on the left is mine. I know we got a duplicate right there, but it was an amazing experience to be able to do that at 17. That was last November. So I was like, 6 months before I turned 18. It was amazing to do that. And then shortly thereafter, I moved to Los Angeles and I shipped the car out as well. So a lot of different stuff. And then after, I was living in LA, turned 18 because I realized you need to be 18 to kind of leave the country without a supervised adult or whatever. I went and traveled the world. I went to 8 different countries over the last 4 months. And here's a few of the pictures showing that. So it's been an amazing experience being able to do that. The largest income stream throughout all of this and the most consistent is e-commerce. So as I'm sure you guys know, that's what we're here to talk about today. Here's a few out of the probably thousands, but definitely hundreds of screenshots on my phone, just showing different months, different stuff. We're going to go through all this. I'm going to break down what it means, how it works, where this is all done. But there's a lot more than just me, okay? There's a lot more people making more money. There's a lot of people crushing it with this, as you guys are going to be seeing shortly. This is just a small piece of the pie, okay? These are just different stores, little things here and there, a lot of different stuff, okay? It's all about building that foundation, which is what I'm going to give you inside of here. So kind of let's transition on to you guys. All of you are on here for a reason. I know there's, what is there? How many people are on here? There's 770 of you. That's crazy. First of all, welcome to everyone. There's a lot of different reasons you guys are on here, okay? Probably thousands. Different people want different things. Some of you might have never heard of e-commerce. Some of you might have just opened a Shopify store and you're trying to figure out how to find that first winning product and start marketing it. And I'm sure there's people on here who are already doing 6 figures and maybe 6 figures a month. That's all across the board. But there's still a reason you're here. So whatever that is for you, make sure you've identified that and then kind of take notes around what will help you from there. Because what I'm going to talk about covers everything from the basics all the way to the in-depth Facebook ad strategies. So make sure to pay attention. But first thing, I want to show you guys a couple of scary things that I was researching, and I heard about some of this and it kind of scared me. Did you know, okay, this is kind of crazy to think about, more than 57% of Americans, just people in the US, have less than $1,000 in their bank account. $1,000. Like, that's crazy to think about. There's no reserve for emergencies. There's no money that these people have saved up. And that to me is just, it's crazy. Like, what do you do if something happens? You're not prepared in that situation. And the even sadder part, because this is a new high, the average household income for just the average person in the US is not even $60,000. And while that can give you a little bit of like movement if you're, you know, a young single person, when you get into the family where you got other people to take care of and you're gonna have bills and you gotta save for retirement, you got a mortgage, all this different stuff, that's not even close to enough money. I don't know how that's still a statistic. Okay, these people are just not taking control of their environment. So that's one thing. And now as for the school, which obviously, as you guys know, is a huge issue, over 40 million US students have student loans. That's crazy. Like, people who are in school, they have a student loan, okay? 1.2 trillion. That's with a T right there, not a B, not for billion, trillion, okay? And then a third of Americans have no retirement savings, which kind of goes back to this one up here. That's over half the people have less than 1,000. And I understand a lot of those people might be young, but in any situation, you should really be prepared for whatever's going to happen. So just keep that in mind. One of the things I want to point out is it doesn't matter what you want to do. It doesn't matter where you're from, how old you are. You know, if you're 13 and you're from a third world country, it doesn't matter. You can still do what you want and build that. You just have to be creative and resourceful on top of your situation, okay? These are 3 very specific points that I strongly believe are very, very important in everything you do, okay? Having all of the tools, all of the resources, everything at your fingertips to take full advantage of whatever you're doing, because everyone has a different tool or a different resource, okay? And I'm actually going to do the first of many giveaways on here right now. $100 to one person, just one random person. What is one great resource most people have at their fingertips? What is just one thing you can use? Very simple, okay? Very, very simple. Just what is one resource anyone can use? There's thousands. Just what's one thing? If you want to learn a business, if you want to learn how to play a sport or do whatever, what is that one thing? And there's a lot of people who can comment. Let's see. Boom. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Azane Easterleen, social media. I like that because social media is more than just one platform. That's more than just this stream on YouTube. It's more than just Instagram. Literally everything is shared on social media. 100% of everything. So what was your name again? Just DM me. Send me a DM on Instagram. I got that one saved, so I'll know who you are. Shoot me a DM with a screenshot of that. Get you paid after this. I'm going to be doing a lot of giveaways, so make sure to stay involved in here. But you guys, whatever you're doing, I really don't care too much about where you're from or what the excuse is, because I used to do the same thing. I was like, oh, well, I'm 15. I can't legally open a business, or, you know, I don't have a laptop. It's at one point I didn't have a laptop that worked, and it was like, you just have to go around that. You could go to the library and use a laptop. They have free Wi-Fi there. You could go read a book at the library. You can download pretty much any free PDF or book or resource on the internet. You can watch YouTube video tutorials on anything. So whatever that is, you just have to kind of fall into that. And out of that, whenever you manage to find, this is just something I've really found helpful and extremely beneficial, is if you find a perfectly working system, you have to abuse it as much as possible in a good way. So for example, if you learn really, really well just how to do Instagram influencers, and we're going to talk about those here in a second, if you master that one skill, you should just go over the top, go overboard, master that, okay? Master it and then use it. Use what you have. A lot of people have something, but the school system has suppressed them. Their parents have suppressed them down, and they don't really capitalize on that. They don't use it. Whatever you want, you have to jump into that. Jump in head first and take full advantage. You know, for a business model like dropshipping, there's a couple different levels when it comes to income. There's people who have a mindset of scarcity where, you know, it's always save or clip coupons. There's never enough money. And I understand where most people come out of that. It's because they were raised that way. And I saw my mom clipping coupons and it was terrible. Thankfully, I saw kind of the transition out of that. And I realized I can create financial stability, which my family had, but they still had the scarcity mindset. So that's kind of how they remained stable. But once you can put yourself in the mindset of abundance, okay, it's scarcity, stability, and then abundance. It's a 3-step process that usually people move through. That's when it becomes just abundant. Everything you want, anything you want. There's a massive difference between just being financially stable, which is you're comfortable, and then having abundance. Abundance is where you can have anything and everything. Literally anything you want. You want to own a yacht, a plane. You can do that as long as you understand it, but you have to have the abundance mindset in order to do that. So the thing I do want to point out, I make this extremely clear in any situation, whether it's just on Instagram story, I'm posting something for fun, or a YouTube video, or right here, nothing is ever easy. I don't care if it's e-commerce or you're starting a restaurant. It really doesn't matter. 8 out of 10 businesses fail within 18 months, okay? That's a pretty short time frame. And this is for legitimate brick and mortar businesses where it takes time. You got to go through, get licensing. You got to lease the office space or the building, get all the material, start the marketing, all of that. It takes a longer period of time. And so in that short amount of time, it fails. Did you know that over 90% of Shopify stores, which is the platform we do e-commerce on, actually close or pause? There's a pause feature within 3 months. That means people are not making money, over 90% of them. And here's the thing though, a lot of people look at that and that's scary. I used to look at that, and my mission is to change that statistic, to help people overcome that and actually get results with whatever they're doing. But the thing is, while you might have the statistics stacked against you, the odds are in your favor. Because if you're sitting in a room with 10 people, 9 of you are going to fail. 9 of you are going to fail with a Shopify store. But that means they're not willing to do enough work. They're not willing to learn the right stuff and actually put in the work to implement that. So if you think about that, that then means you have the upper hand. You have the advantage because there's less competition. So that's why I always get a little bit fussy when it comes to people saying, oh, there's too much competition, or, are you still even able to make money? You're going to be able to make money for a very long time, because as things change and adapt, people are not willing to do that. So I definitely really want to get that across. Now, this is just one quick thing before we fully dive in with all the e-commerce stuff. How do you avoid becoming a negative statistic? I know I just talked about these 3 things, or I'm going to, but I want to ask you guys this right now. Another $100 giveaway. What would you say is one key point? Just one very simple key point. How do you avoid becoming a negative statistic? And what that means is one of these up here, where you have less than $1,000, or your income is, the average in the US, or you have a massive student debt that you can't even declare bankruptcy to get out of, or you have no retirement savings. How do you not become a bad statistic? Or even like one of these, where 90% of Shopify stores fail. What's one of those things that's going to allow you to stand out from that group of people? Very curious to hear you guys' response. Got a lot inside of here. Boom, I stopped on this one. Yurima Dazoo, work harder than anyone else. I like that. I do. All right, I'm going to screenshot that there. Make sure to DM me. Work harder than anyone else. You guys, it really comes down to hustle. You see a lot of the rappers talk about it actually, like Rick Ross, DJ Khaled. I don't know how closely you guys follow them, but they really talk about how, they knew that they would be where they're at. They were just willing to outwork everyone. They were willing to sleep less. And it does play a role with the internet now of where you can work smarter instead of working harder, but that hard work is what allows you to be able to work smarter. So one kind of comes before the other, if that makes sense. Now, as for e-commerce specifically, for those of you who don't know at all how it works, it's kind of a simple little 4-point flowchart. AliExpress, which is a massive, massive Chinese reselling website. There's actually products from other countries as well, but that's where you can essentially buy products for really cheap. You push them through a third-party app called Oberlo, which I know if this sounds confusing, it's extremely easy. It'll take you 30 seconds to set up. And then you push that into a Shopify store. This is your website, okay? So you're essentially getting products onto your website that you can then sell, okay? And through Oberlo, that means you don't have to touch any of the products. You don't have to worry about holding inventory or anything like that. Dropshipping is where you're essentially not touching anything. Like, do you see big boxes stacked behind me or anything? No. Yet I'm probably going to come off of this stream and all these different stores that I have are going to have made 10, 20, 50, 100 more sales, and I didn't have to ship anything out. I don't have to do anything because it's all, I don't want to say automated, which it is once you come into the working smart piece of it, but it's all outsourced. All this stuff with fulfilling orders, you don't have to do that. You don't have to worry about actually, putting a box together and taping it shut, putting a label and sending it out. That's not what this is. But throughout this process, while again, it might look extremely simple, this is the piece. This one right here. I'm going to put this in a different color for you guys real quick. Marketing is where people, I don't want to say mess up, but that's kind of where most people don't understand the full process. Because even if you manage to take a really good product actually, off AliExpress, where it is a winning product, where a lot of people want it and there's an extremely high demand. If you can't get that product in front of a lot of other people, or a lot of the right people who are interested in that, you're not going to sell it, right? Does that make sense? Because if, let's say you're interested in this water bottle right here, okay, supply and demand. But if I'm marketing this and putting it in front of people who already have a water bottle, why do they need that one, you know? So you got to understand the marketing principles, and that's what I focus on a lot, and that's what I've built my skill set around. So when it comes to e-commerce, a lot of people have these typical questions, but the startup costs around it, and this is why I love the business model, no matter what age you are, where you're from, you can get involved because it's such a low, next to none actually, startup cost. You don't have too many things because you're not ordering all these products in advance. You don't have to pay for a warehouse, and you don't even have to pay for the product that you sell until someone pays you for it, if that makes sense. So it's individual, one by one. You don't even have to then use your money and risk anything up front. So that's why it's great. And now the type of effort. This is where I see a lot of people messing up because they work really hard, which is very important. That really is. But if you're putting in a lot of effort to build a front-end loaded business model, which means, you know, something like e-commerce where you really only have to work hard for a couple of months with one store, and then it can run by itself. You have, you know, you go from working 5 hours a day on it for 2 months to the point where you only have to spend 30 minutes a week. You know, that's the point where most of my stores are at, where you literally do nothing because it's a front-end loaded business model. But a lot of people put in a lot of work and it starts working, but then it dies off. And so they keep having to put in more work to just maintain that. So they're never exponentially stacking their income, which is where you want to be. You want to understand that. And that really comes back to the marketing, okay, the marketing piece of it. That's massive. Now, if you guys understand anything about the marketing, I know you already understand that, but the practicalities behind this. I know we just talked about the AliExpress. You touch nothing when it comes to drop shipping. When it comes to the ads, you're not calling some big advertising agency. You can do it off your phone or your laptop. So it's extremely simple. Now, as for what products you're going to sell, I'm actually going to give you 3 specific examples of products I have sold, okay? Products I've sold right here. You ready for this? I know a lot of you guys have probably already seen these. Fidget spinners. If we go back up to this photo right here, now I get to explain what happened in here. I was in Miami for a month and a half when I was 16 years old. I was actually about to move there. The people I were with had massive Instagram influencer pages. You know, the meme pages with like 2 million followers. And they were selling fidget spinners. They were actually one of the biggest fidget spinner stores, doing about $50,000 to $70,000 a month without doing really any work. And I came in there and I helped them increase that to about $90,000 a month. So that's when I really started first making some money and becoming a part of e-commerce. And while I wasn't running the entire business myself, because they had a whole team of people that were kind of working on their different strengths inside of that store, I came in and did one piece. So for that, I got to use my strength and learn a little bit about everything else. So that's what allowed me to start traveling and kind of trickled into all these other things that I've been able to do. So that's just one product. I'm going to tell you why I like that, okay? This first one right here, I like the fidget spinner because it's a deeper cause. A lot of people look at this and it's just some stupid little, you know, fidget spinner that spins in your hand. But it was more than that. Who here saw any ads for these, actually? Let me point that out here. Drop a comment if you guys saw an ad for a fidget spinner. I know you guys probably saw like it in gas stations and now they're in vending machines and literally everywhere. But if anyone saw an ad, let me know. I'm curious to see if you guys actually saw that because there was more to it than just, okay, here's this little toy that spins in your hand. There was a deeper cause. Mazi says me. I know it's probably lagging a little bit with the comments. No worries. Johnny, yes. Nicholas, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, because they were massive. Look at that. It was a massive trend. Absolutely everyone and their mother was selling that. So if you guys really paid attention to that, I know back when I was first seeing these products, I didn't really care to look or think to look at what they were saying. But the fidget spinner was based around, if you guys remember this, it was around ADHD. So it was an actual kind of problem that people were having. It was to help you focus. So it was a deeper cause than just, for example, this necklace where you just sell a little product. It was an actual solution. And so when you market a product like that, that's where you can really tap into people saying, I need this versus I want this. And that's why this product did so well. We did about $600,000 with that store in just a matter of 6 months or so. It was absolutely crazy. And by doing that, now that let us all learn e-commerce and go into other things. This right here is a simple iPhone case. And I'm going to explain the marketing and actually some very negative things about this one, as well as why it worked. But it's not in the iPhone case niche. Oftentimes people ask me, what sort of product should I sell? I don't really like to pick an idea of products, which is like the niche. Like, oh, let me go into the iPhone case niche or the cat niche. I pick a specific product first. And based around that winning product, I find other similar winning products, and then that kind of constitutes my niche. So this product right here worked really well for a very simple reason. It was a really good offer, it was very cheap, and I actually used this as an upsell. So I would sell other dog products that were for people, not like dog toys, and I would use this as an upsell. The thing I found is a lot of people who didn't take it or didn't not take it because they didn't like it. It's because they actually didn't have an iPhone. So this is one of those things where I transition into Facebook ads with it, because on Facebook, when you're running an ad on there, you can target very specifically, like, okay, only people who have an iPhone 7 and higher, you know, the newest models, so that this case would actually fit that, because that means they're qualified to do it, you know, if that makes sense. Now, this necklace, I know someone commented saying they're selling it. This was a really good one, and I'm glad that you were selling it, or still are, but it had a lot of orders. So this specific necklace and a lot of similar necklaces, just with like cat designs and stuff, had so many different ones on AliExpress, right, which is that free website we use to link products onto our store. It had like 10,000, 30,000, 40,000 orders. So many orders on all these similar products. And so I knew that meant there was a very large group of people who were not only interested in cats, which I'll explain that in a second is a passion, but there was people who were willing to buy. So when you come into a passion niche, like something to do with animals, for example, people are very passionate about that. Very similarly to sports, right? You target someone who plays soccer. They love soccer. You see how riled up people get at a soccer game? It's because they're passionate about something. It's the same thing with cats or with a dog product even. That's why they like it. People love their animal, right? Their pet. That's something very personal to them. So that's why these products did really well. These were kind of the first 3 entry point products, aside from a few other pieces of jewelry, that really helped me learn e-commerce. And now I use these to cash flow into other ventures with other products, a little bit of stuff where I would actually order it myself to test it and take better photos, because these are kind of a little basic. So it really led into other things. But here's the thing. When it comes to selling a fidget spinner or whatever, how do you actually sell them? When I was first starting it, when I was doing the fidget spinners, I didn't have to worry about that because I was not the person doing that. But when it came to these two, that's what I had to figure out. And so that's kind of where I ran into my first wall. I know a lot of you guys are probably there where you already have a Shopify store. Who here has, I'm actually going to give away a free spot right now in the e-commerce program. Who here has a store already made with products on it but has not gotten their first sale? Who is struggling to figure out how to sell products? Because that is what I have mastered, and that's what's allowed me to obviously sell these products. But that was the biggest struggle I had for about 5 months, like 5 months straight every day. Imagine how frustrated you get. Who here has a store but is not getting sales? We're going to pick one person. Drew Nugan. I like that. You just won. Congratulations, boss. Bing, bang, boom. We got a lot of people on there just picking these randomly. A lot of the reason actually why you're not selling is about 90% the marketing. So maybe you don't know how to run Instagram influencers or Facebook ads. We're going to get to that here in a second. But it's also the little things. So a lot of people might look at this, and that's why I highlighted both of these, and they're like, okay, I put some products from AliExpress, pushed them through a Oberlo into my store. And now I have a store, but I don't know how to do the marketing. How do I make this water bottle, for an example, sell? But sometimes it's not just the marketing. Like these 3 products sold because they were winning products. They had a demand. They had an audience. A lot of people take products on AliExpress that they're just not good products. Okay, you're not a unicorn. You can't pull sales out of your butt. You know, you can't just magically make an audience appear. You might get a few sales, but if you don't have a winning product, then you're just not going to be able to make sales, and you're going to waste that time and money. So that's the first piece you really have to learn, is finding the right product. And once you do that, that's when you can start marketing. And there's 2 different platforms I personally use for that. The first one I started with is Instagram influencers. And that is how I bought this car, okay? Through Instagram influencers. That's when I was really crushing it with influencers. And then what allowed me to move and then travel is Facebook ads. So I'm kind of going to run you guys through that entire process. But through this with Instagram, that's where I'm not running an ad on Instagram. right? If you're ever scrolling through your feed and you see something that says sponsored post, that's actually a Facebook ad. Whereas with Instagram influencers is if you look at someone's page, like Kim Kardashian, for example, and no way, I did not advertise on hers, but stuff like that where people charge you a specific fee for the amount of time you're promoting on their page. And you're basically renting that spot. So whether they post you on their Instagram story or their actual feed, you're basically just getting put in front of their audience. And this is the cool part about it. This is why it works really well. It's called a native ad. Okay, that's where you're being automatically put in front of their audience and it doesn't say sponsored. So right over here with Facebook, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a negative thing because Facebook works way better for me now than Instagram, just because that's where I'm focusing my attention. But if it says sponsored, people immediately know it's an ad, like right away, and that's kind of a turnoff. So one other thing with that is, even if you want to advertise on Instagram and you don't know how to do Facebook ads, you can do the Instagram ads directly through Facebook, or you can actually reach out to these pages directly. Just DM the pages, or oftentimes they'll have an email in their bio. That's called Instagram influencer marketing. Now, the reason I transitioned to Facebook, and I spend a lot more time on that now, I know people ask this all the time, but it is not by any means because Instagram doesn't work. Not at all. It's because Facebook allows you to scale further and it's automated. Okay, there's 3 reasons. I'll give you the third one in a moment, but it allows you to automate. So with Instagram, if I want to run a page on, let's just use Kim Kardashian as another example. First of all, it's going to cost you like $1 million or something. But now you got to get in touch with them. You got to agree on a duration of the shout out. You got to agree on the price. Then you got to send the money. You got to schedule when the post is going to go. You have to send her the picture, the caption, all that information. And then you got to make sure she actually posts it. All of that. It's a big mess. It's just a time consuming thing. Whereas with Facebook, if I'm bored one night, I can go launch 100 ads and they're just running. So it's a little bit more automated. And once you get these campaigns going where they're making money, you really don't have any time involvement. You just kind of keep an eye on it. So it becomes very, very passive, which means you're not doing a lot of work. So that is why I transition into that. And I know a lot of people don't understand how to do Facebook ads. That's the biggest piece though. That's the biggest piece in my puzzle that I focus on because it's so difficult to do. But that third piece is not just because it's very consistent or I can scale very far, but it's the targeting. With a product like this, if you're running an ad on Instagram, or excuse me, an influencer on Instagram for a dog phone case for iPhone, well, if you're on an Instagram page, you cannot decide who sees it if they own an iPhone or an Android or a Samsung or a freaking Nokia or whatever. You know, you don't get to choose that. But on Facebook, you do. So you're not spending money to put your ad in front of people who aren't even qualified to buy, if that makes sense. So let me know if that makes sense so far. If you guys are on board with this, Instagram versus Facebook, the pros and cons to each, as well as why and how I transition into that. We got a lot of people in here. Currently studying hard on marketing. That is what you have to focus on, 100%. There's a lot of it. So much stuff that goes into that, all right? Now, let me transition a little bit into some very current Instagram influencer strategies, all right? Some stuff just that are very relevant, stuff that has worked, and this is stuff that still works. I do the occasional Instagram shout out, but that's just not where I focus my time. And again, it's not because it doesn't work. But these are the type of pages that work extremely well right now, oftentimes because it actually has a relationship with their audience. So there's 2 types of pages that I would do right now if I wanted to launch an Instagram shout out today. It would be either a personal brand, which again, Kim Kardashian would be a great example, where it's their face, it's their brand, their image, so their audience knows them. And what that means is their audience trusts them. So what you're doing is you're putting yourself in front of a trusted audience where if Kim is going to post your ad, they now know or believe that it's a good product because they think you think the same. So it's really kind of tapping into that relationship that's already been built. And those tend to be a little bit more expensive, but if you have the budget for it or you already have other ads that have worked, that can be a very profitable strategy to tap into pages like that. So the other type that I really like to do, and this is great for all this stuff like fidget spinners, this is where we owned these pages and would get shout outs from our friends, is the viral content ones. So if you go on Instagram right now and you go on the explore page, a ton of the stuff you're going to see is like funny fight videos or memes and stuff like that where it can go viral because it's funny, people share, they tag, and that stuff gets a lot of exposure. But these pages oftentimes when they're small, they're fake. And so a lot of people don't quite realize that you can very, very easily manipulate your page and your numbers. So you have to be careful because a lot of people are going to buy likes, or they're going to buy followers, they're going to buy this and that, and that's going to screw you out of actually being able to get any results. Because if they're buying 5,000 bot likes and you thought that they got 10,000, so you're paying to be in front of 10,000 people, but in reality only 5,000 real people saw that. And oftentimes you won't even know that's going to happen. So you got to be very careful when it comes to that. But this stuff, these pages are huge, like huge. Some of these things are 5 million, 10 million, 15 million followers and get millions and millions of views on every single post. So the amount of reach you can have is just ginormous. Like you can go, you post an ad and within 30 minutes you've made $5,000 and it just goes up over the first few hours, then it slowly trickles down depending on how long it's up for. It's just immediate traction. Whereas with something like Facebook, it takes a little bit more time. But here's the thing. While you might not make as much as fast with Facebook, it can still be better because in the long term, Facebook will get you that consistency and that automation. So let me run through. If you guys are just starting Facebook and you have absolutely no data, and again, feel free, you guys, take notes on this stuff. I know I'm kind of moving through it fast and whatnot. I'm going to give you guys some time for questions at the end. Screenshot it, whatever you got to do. This is exactly what I do if I'm starting a new store or a new product or a new Facebook pixel and I'm doing Facebook ads. So this is the hardest piece that I've found so many people, even people who make a ton of money with Instagram and with Facebook, they don't know how to do the one piece of starting. So to initially get that data. And while you can still do Facebook ads without it, because you can actually, I'm not going to fully explain this right now, but you can take your sales from Instagram and that will help you do Facebook a lot easier. So with lookalike audiences and stuff, a lot of people who do that don't know how to do this. So when you're doing a Facebook ad, you have a ton of different options on what you can run. You can run an engagement ad, you can run a traffic ad. I focus on conversion ads. And the reason I do this is because this 4-step process. Okay, VC stands for view content. Add to cart, or ATC stands for add to cart. IC stands for initiate checkout, and PUR stands for purchase. All right, so it's viewing it, they're viewing your ad, they're adding it to their cart once they're already on your website, and then they're initiating a checkout, which means they start typing in their credit card or their name, their email, and then they actually purchase it. So it's kind of the 4-step process, which is sequential on what actually happens when someone comes to your site and buys. So the reason I do this is because when your Facebook pixel has no data, you can't really just jump and do what's called optimizing for a purchase. And the reason for that is because Facebook can't help you out. And oftentimes they're going to kind of freak out and be like, wait a minute, who are you trying to target? Because while Facebook wants to make a lot of money off you, that's how they make their money with ads, they also want to help you so that you keep spending more money. So if Facebook knows who your customer is, it allows them to slowly ease into it and actually help put you in front of the right people. So I do what's called starting with a lighter piece of data. I'll start with a view content where it's very, very simple. They get a lot of people viewing my ad. That's what I do. I just get a ton of people seeing it, a few people clicking on it, and based off that, Facebook slowly learns who's engaging with it. If it's a video, who's watching the video longer? What does that person look like? Where are they from? What's their age? What are they interested in? And from there, I'll launch a couple of add to cart campaigns where the goal and the objective is to get people just to add it to their cart, not to purchase, which I see a lot of people making the mistake of just jumping into a purchase because, oh, they want the sale, but in reality, if you do that, you're not going to get the sale. And so Facebook figures out a little bit more about who's actually expressing interest enough to go to your website, which is huge because they're leaving the place that they were just on and they trust that place to someone they don't know, and then they add it to their cart. That's a massive step to take. You have to respect that. And then from there, they start initiating the checkout. And if they buy, you then have what is the strongest piece of data, a purchase. And this is where once you get a couple hundred purchases, it's game over. Like you're always going to be able to make money in that niche because now you have what's called a built pixel, which I know we're not going to get 100% crazy technical with all of the points, but that is very important because then almost anything you do is going to work. Like when you're launching all this stuff here in the middle, a lot of it's going to work, a lot of it's not going to work. It's kind of back and forth. But once you have a built pixel with like 500 sales or more, a lot higher percentage of your ads are actually going to work. So it's really cool to see that process. You guys sticking with me so far? Does this make sense? Following through this entire process? Everything with Facebook. Instagram. We're not going to talk about Google AdWords. I actually don't do that for e-commerce. There's a lot of competition with big brands on there. So think about that. Cool, cool. Everyone's with it. That's what's up. So this is one of the things too. You have to be really careful with your conversion event. And that's what this is. Okay. View content is a conversion event. Add to cart is a conversion event, and yada, yada. So are these others. So you have to be careful when you're transitioning, because a lot of people think, okay, you know, I launched one ad. I spent $8 for view content. Can I move up to add to cart? No, you really want to hit certain milestones. So let me give you an example. You want to get a couple hundred view content before you move into add to cart. But ideally, while you're running these view content, while the goal is just to get people to kind of see it and engage with it, some people will go to your website and add it to their cart. So ideally, you can move into add to cart and you already have, let's just call it 50 add to carts or so. If you had 100, that would be great. And once you're trying to move into initiate checkout, you've been running add to cart and view content for a little while, maybe you already have 50 to 100 initiate checkouts and probably 20 or 30 purchases. That's great. You're slowly building data one step ahead of where you're at. So if you're moving into initiate checkout, you want to already have some purchases. If you're moving into add to cart, you definitely already want to have some initiate checkouts. So you're kind of moving with that process and slowly easing into it. But the biggest mistake that I ran into, and this is where, what was this, 7 months ago or so, everything was going so well. And I didn't fully screw it up. I did for one of my stores. Not just an ad or not just a product. The entire store got screwed up with the pixel because I did not understand what a home base was at the time. So this is kind of like a video game where, you know, you got to build something and then you go to attack and get more stuff. But if you fail, you got to retract back to that home base. It's like a war game or a strategy, if you will. So while you're trying to move up, let's say from add to cart to initiate checkout, if you're trying to make that jump, you don't want to just stop running your add to cart ads that are already working. Because then what happens if initiate checkout isn't working? You don't have anything to come back to, if that makes sense. You want to be able to quickly retract and kind of come back to where you were, wait a little bit, and then try again. Get some more data, understand things a little bit better, and then you can move forward. So with Facebook, there's so much stuff that goes into there, but that is my process with no data. And this works so well. And as long as I know I have this part down, where I pick a winning product and it's a good one, then this product, or this process works every single time. It's never a question of if it's going to work. It's when. And that's what's so cool. Like if you bring me a winning product right now, I'll make it work. It's not a challenge because I've built that skill. It's just a matter of when. So that's one thing I really want you guys to focus on. And as you're moving up through this process, especially once you get onto the purchase conversion, that is when you can start seeing the consistency. Whereas with Instagram, it's going to be a little bit more volatile. So here's an example of the growth of a store. As it starts growing, as things start happening, here's an example of kind of the consistency with Facebook as it gets into what I like to call the scale period. So one day you do about 1,000. The next day a little bit over 1,500. Then 2,500. Then 3,500. And you're going boom, 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 boom. You're going up. A lot of people who show $1,000 in a day with Facebook, then 3,000, then 800, it's volatile up and down. That's not how Facebook works. It might move a little bit here and there, have one little dip day or two, but it's never going to be just a crazy volatile stock chart type of thing. So that is really how I've been able to get the consistent results, is because when you do Facebook the right way, you're going to get that consistent growth. And once you get up to this level, you can automate it. You can go way past that. So it's just being able to actually scale up to that point and learn the marketing tactics behind it. But it all starts with this right here. Because this is all just with one product, by the way. Each of these, this is one specific product I'm selling. And so by being able to do that, you have to start with no data. And then you have to build the data. And once you have the data, then you can kind of fast track it and start scaling. So I'm going to give you guys an ad example here in a second, but I want to make sure that makes sense here. Who is already running Facebook ads? Who here has tried a Facebook ad and it's worked? You've tried it and it's failed? Anything like that? Who here has it where you have already done something with Facebook ads? You've gotten a little bit of experience. Who's familiar with it? Let's see kind of, okay, Mimi, perfect. A lot of people fail, trying to fail. One or two so far. That's good. So a lot of you have done it. Some of it's working. Looks like the majority it's failed. I was in the same boat. When I actually first went from, where was it with this one? about from this time, like a few months after that fidget store died off, because it was a massive trend, and obviously that slows down, I was trying to do my own stores, right? And I knew I had a good product, but I was trying to do it with Facebook ads, and I didn't know anything about that. And so for 5 months straight, I made one sale. I was about to say no sales, but it was one sale in the second month, which looking back was just a completely random sale, but I had no idea what I was doing. And you can imagine how frustrating it gets when you're going 5 months doing something, spending thousands of dollars, and you get no results. So it's because I didn't have a plan. I didn't know this. I didn't know anything to do with actually how to structure it. I was just throwing up an ad and kind of hoping it worked. So that's what took a lot of my time and money. But let me give you a live ad example. By the way, for those of you who don't understand what this means, I'm going to break it down. For those of you who do, this is not fully optimized. So this ad did start doing better. This is from a little while ago. It started doing better. It was not fully optimized, and it was scaled a little bit, but not fully. So essentially, if you look in these green boxes or the green circles I drew, spent $12,900, so about $13,000 out. That's what was spent on the ads. And just from those ads directly, right, it's all tracked inside of here, it made about $41,000 back. So as you can see, that's an average right here. It's cut off 3.1 or so ROI. So for every dollar I spend, I'm making about $3 back. Usually it's about 3 to 5. It really depends on how optimized it is and how scaled it is. So the optimizing process means I'm going through and figuring out precisely what's working, but mostly what's not working. So that then I can cut that out, and then it's only what's working. So that means if I spend $1 and I made $2, there's things that can be removed, okay? The things that aren't working. And once I take that out, it gets it up to, every dollar I spend to $3, to $4, and it just keeps going up until you've fully optimized, which pretty much means you've refined that process, okay? You've figured out exactly what's worked, and as you're kind of finishing the optimizing process, that's when you can start scaling, which means you're spending more money to then be able to make more money, because for every dollar you're spending, you're making $3 back. That's a positive ROI, and you want to be able to obviously increase that. So when people say they're spending, $100,000 a month on ads, that might sound crazy, but it's because they're making money back. So that's a good example. Let me kind of break this down for you guys as well. This kind of shows you actually what the cost per purchase was, all this stuff. If you guys don't understand Facebook, this is a custom column setup where I basically get to see all the information I want. I have the option to see what row I want. This is how much money was spent with each, if I can even talk, with each individual ad, how much reach it had, the amount of link clicks, and then kind of what led into the process of getting that sale. So for this one up here, it had a 3.1, I believe that says. Or excuse me, 4.1, 3.1, 3.7, 3.5, all of these different numbers. So there's so much stuff that goes into it, but when you break it down and you really just focus in on one skill, that's when you can really master it. And so this is what I do. This is why I was able to do everything. And once I successfully learned Facebook, it's kind of funny now because everything I did back then, like a year ago, doesn't work. But that's okay, because this stuff works and what I'm doing now works. It's just adapting to that process, if that makes sense. So as I learned all of this stuff, I learned what my strengths were, but more importantly, you don't just know what your strengths are. Like, you might be good with numbers naturally, but you know what you can be good at. But then you have to do the work to actually become good at that. So I was never good with ads. Like I said, it took me over 5 months to even start making any amount of money with dropshipping through my own ads. But I built a very specific interest with this marketing. That was all I wanted to do. I just went 100% at that goal. And so I built that skill set, and that is what I knew I needed to succeed, because I had already seen how my friends had picked this product, and I had picked a few others for different stores that worked. So I knew how to, where was it, right here? I knew how to actually pick good products that had a deeper cause, that would work, they were a good upsell, they were a good offer, they had a lot of demand. I knew how to pick the products, okay? I knew how to do this AliExpress part. But then I didn't know the marketing. And this little stuff right here is easy. It is important with your Shopify store to increase conversions and set it up the right way. But that's kind of besides the point. It's these two main things that you have to focus on. And so I knew I had this down, but I needed to go acquire the marketing skill. And so that's what I did. And the thing I realized is that once you're good, it really becomes a game. Because this right here, it might look really complicated to some of you, but this, all I see right here is, okay, how do I get this number to cut in half and double this number? It becomes a game. It's literally fun What are you doing? How much money are you spending for how much money you make? Because after a certain point, money and business, it just becomes a game. You want to improve. You want to master whatever you're doing. And that's the thing. And by actually now doing stuff like this, where I'm talking through it, doing YouTube videos, teaching other people how to do this, it's actually helped me learn it even better. Because when you can explain something and put it in words, that is when you can actually teach it to someone else. And that's how you know it. So if that makes sense, a lot of this different stuff with marketing, I know so many people are probably confused about it. I'm going to do another $100 giveaway real quick. What would you guys say out of Facebook or Instagram? Just those two platforms. I know a lot of people do stuff on, a little bit on Twitter. I've seen Pinterest, YouTube. Just between Instagram and Facebook, which one do you think makes more sense for you? Just for you right now. Like knowing your experience, what I just went through, what would you want to start with? Maybe you don't have a Shopify store right now. Maybe you do. What are you going to start with? What are you already starting with? What do you think makes more sense for you and why? That's the biggest piece there. Why do you think that? Okay, give a little bit of an explanation. I'm going to give you guys a minute to do that and just pick a random one that makes sense. Okay, so quick shot, maybe make $100, help pay for an Instagram influencer shout out, some Facebook ads. At the end, I'll answer some questions. I'm sure people are wondering kind of how much money you need to start Facebook ads and all that. Definitely very important questions, very valid. Let's see here, a lot of stuff. All right, this is where we're getting the whys. Jose, right there. Jose C. You guys shoot me a DM, buddy. Instagram to get the pixel data for later. He knows right there. Jose knows what I used to do. So the stuff with Instagram, like I explained, I would take the sales I got and put that into Facebook, which means now Facebook, because Instagram, by the way, is owned by Facebook. So you can basically export your sales, which I know this is getting a little technical. You can put that data into Facebook. So then Facebook immediately gets to see all the people who've already purchased, and they pull their information, which is kind of creepy, but they pull it off the internet and their platform on Facebook, and they get to figure out who it is. So that was my strategy. I used to actually use Instagram because I didn't know how to do this, and it worked. It worked really well for quite a while, but it took so much time. Like doing that process from Instagram into Facebook literally took forever. And it's worked, it still works, you could still do that, but now that I understand this, and there's a lot more that goes into it, but how to do that, that is what I focus on because it's faster, it just keeps everything focused in one place. And like I said, being able to teach other people how to do this, that's helped me then go ahead and develop my skills even further. You know, stuff like this. I literally get 10 to 20 of these a day. I have thousands of them. My buddy Kevin, actually, he started hitting $500 a day within a couple of days. I think it was within 5 or 6 days. He took that information, and that was with Facebook ads, by the way. So props to him for actually doing this and making it happen quick, because you still do have to be careful with how fast you transition. So that was really cool to see. This is a prime example of what happens with a shout out, where you go make $4,000. But to be honest, like this is just my personal opinion, everyone's different. I would rather start making $500 a day with Facebook ads versus just having one Instagram influencer shout out that makes me $4,000. Because the next time you do it on the same page that already made you that $4,000, you don't know if it's gonna work. You don't know if it's gonna work as well. And after you do it a couple times, their entire audience has already seen your offer. So you're not really gonna get sales, which means you've now exercised all of the tappability. I'm gonna call it, that's what I always call it, tappability of an Instagram page. You can't use that page anymore because you've already taken all the sales you can get from that one product. So you can make a lot of money though and use that data and then transition into Facebook. Now here's someone right here, $2,000, which is, if you look at that number, up 17,000%. That is a quick scale, being able to jump up there and start doing it over the past week. Being able to kind of make some of your first money, get those consistent results, that's what's allowed people to scale. And so if you guys see, I'm going to do another $100 giveaway just for the fun of it, because I want to make sure you guys understand. I probably should have done this before I explained the difference, but which one would you rather have? This is kind of more personality based. Which one would you want? $4,000 one time or $500 a day? Where I'm sure the margin on this, he probably only paid a couple $100s for that shout out. Maybe $1,000, but Facebook, he might have only made $150 to $200 profit, maybe $300, but the margins on this were way better, but it was only one time. Which one would you rather have and why? Okay, it's a very interesting thing to me because That's why I initially started with Facebook ads and I failed, so I switched to Instagram, and then I started making a lot of money because I didn't have a lot of money. So I used that money then to transition into Facebook. And I also took the sales I already had and I pushed that into Facebook. That is where you're able to you got to figure out what process makes sense for you. So that's why I'm kind of curious. Let's see here. Boom. Papacito Rico. I like the name, but I like the answer even better. A consistent 500 for sure, but here's why. He said, I get less money in a day, but the data is way more valuable. So it's not even about the money. It's about the data. He understands what he can do with that data. I like that, okay? Once you're taking that data and you're consistently stacking it up, because as you see right here, if you look closely, 163 orders. So that's 163 sales versus only 23. There's a pretty big difference there, as well as the difference in numbers, but this is coming in daily. Kevin's doing way more than this now, but something like this where it's just one time. You got to understand which one you want and why. So there's a lot of different stuff that kind of goes into that, all right? There's so much different more that goes into everything, okay? Right here, 15 years old. This is the stuff I used to dream about, by the way, because I didn't start making money until I actually dropped out of school, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I did drop out of high school, which is kind of crazy, but I wasn't making a lot of money in school. So I dreamed of this, making more money than the teachers, 1.6K in a day, okay? Making that type of money just sitting in class. It's crazy. And this is the stuff that kind of feels the best. First 12 orders, okay? First $145 day ever. It's really that first Shopify sale because, again, once you get up to a certain point, it's really just, it's a game. So it's a matter of taking numbers like this and then figuring out how to increase that. So that's what you want to focus on. But all of these results are tangible. It's not too hard. And this is what you can do with Facebook. This person, I had to hide the page because he didn't want me to tell what it was, but he has a big Instagram influencer page. And so what he did is he used his data that he got sales from his page, his specific page. So he was literally running ads for free because he owned the traffic source and pushed it into Facebook. So what he did is, as you can see here, if you look really close, I'll try and zoom in, over a couple of day period, literally, this was in December at the end of last year, took it and then scaled it up from $0 to about $4,500 a day in a matter of, 8 or 9 days. Like, that's what you can do with Facebook. It's just that consistent growth curve. Like I told you right here, that's what happens when you follow the process. That's exactly what I do. I live and thrive and die off of consistency. Okay, everything that comes with that. And being able to teach all these people and hundreds more exactly how to do that, that's what's been able to lead into so much more. Like me learning how to do it better. Because I specifically worked with him one-on-one to show him how to do that. And by doing that, now I understood more about it because I had to, this is what a lot of people don't understand. I can show you exactly how I run my ads, but your situation is different. So if I have to teach you who starts here and someone else who starts here in a different point, and then I have to bring them to the same result, it's very interesting because what he was doing and where he was starting is not where I had experience. So I kind of had to switch it a little bit and figure out what worked. So now I kind of know every single situation and I've really mastered that blueprint. So for a lot of you guys who have already seen a lot of this stuff on YouTube, you've seen so much of this information, that's great, but it's just surface level. Like all of this stuff we just covered, that's a lot of information. I know we just flew through that, but it's really only a minority piece of what you need. And it's really these main two up here. If we go back up, AliExpress, which is learning how to do the product research, and the marketing. The marketing is where I focus 90% of my attention. That's where I focus everything. So what I'm doing is I added more stuff inside of this. I'm reopening the test group that I opened last year in 2017. I am going to throw in a bonus, which I'll tell you guys here in a second. But the initial people who jumped in there, that's just some of these people right here. Where is it? This guy, I can't tell you his name because he asked for privacy, but all this stuff where he's scaling, he's doing about $10,000 a day. A day, just with Facebook. He has an Instagram influencer page. Growing those stores, he has multiple now, and being able to scale it. He was part of that original test group. Those people have crushed it and they still are. You'll see them inside of the mastermind group. But there's so much that's gone through. Like even in the last 6 months, all of these things have changed. And so I have to stay relevant with that and update that. New product research strategies, the types of offers we use. Like, are you doing a free plus shipping? Is it a buy one, get one free? Buy this, get that. 75% off, 63% off. There's different psychological barriers inside of there that you have to understand, which actually, I'll jump to the bottom. There's a change in the way that people are sold. So the psychology end of it and how you're actually selling people, because so many people are trying to run the same ads, okay, the same structure. You've seen it before. It just gets boring. People, they almost develop like a sixth sense where they can just see it and immediately ignore it because it's being structured the same way. We have to learn how to then immediately engage them and bring people in. You just suck them into your post and then they'll buy. So that's what you have to learn with that. There's all this stuff with the different ways we construct our store, how to optimize, getting the highest conversion rate, which does play into the apps and the email marketing. That's everything with this part right here. I don't want to diminish how important that is. There's so much stuff that goes into the store itself, because if you do great marketing for a really good product, but your store is terrible, you can still make money. But if you're only getting one person out of every 10 who comes to your store to buy, but you could be getting 2 out of every 10, that might seem small, but that is a double. That's a double. If you're making $3,000 a day, you could be making 6. That's an extra $100,000 a month. So it's being able to scale that, being able to constantly change everything you're doing. But I'm going to be reopening this now. I know a lot of people already see what's been going on inside of here. I've kind of kept it closed and a little low key, but there's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who have gone through there and just absolutely killed it. Those who actually applied. But here's what we're doing. To keep up with all of these changes, I'm dropping 7 new videos inside of here. They're going to go up tonight, actually. Tonight. Right now it's 4 o'clock. They're going up tonight. 7 new videos inside of here. These are just a few of the things they talk about, walking you through all of the current strategies, the things that have changed, the things I'm doing differently in both my marketing and product research, how to run Facebook ads, which I know I'm going to answer this question here in a second for someone, how to run Facebook ads with a low budget, as well as a live case study example on going from 0 to just over $17,000 in sales in only 3 weeks. So I walk you guys through that. There's more videos. Obviously, there's 7. I'm putting those in a separate module. And for those of you who have already been in there, you know how it's structured. It's structured way differently than anywhere else because it's in a very important sequential order on how you can actually get results. And it focuses way more on the marketing because, again, that is where you're going to have to spend your actual time. This is 90%, actually I'd like to say about 95% of how I spend my day, my working day. That's what I focus on, because the stuff like that, once you already have a great product, once you already have everything connected through a Verlo and you have a store up, it's literally the only piece that matters is now getting that sale. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that you have to focus on. So aside from those 7 videos that are going in, I'm going to be doing one thing, and we're going to do another giveaway after this real quick. I'm going to do something I have never done before. So for those of you who've seen it in the YouTube video description, the course is $700. All right, it's $700. It has been for the last couple months. I'm going to be giving access and dropping it for the original 2017 test group price, which, by the way, was only with Instagram influencer content. When I initially launched it, I wasn't even really doing Facebook. I didn't consider myself an expert or a master, so I'm not going to teach something I don't know 100% works. So I'm going to drop it to that price overall for this weekend, and right now for the next 70 minutes in inspiration of these 7 new videos dropping, I'm going to give it to you guys for $70 off, which is the lowest it's ever been, ever. It will never be that lower, on God, I swear. There is not a chance. But for all those of you who are on this right now, I respect you staying on here, going through all this information, staying with me, learning this stuff. Hopefully you took notes. I always have a notepad next to me no matter where I am, going through all this stuff, learning these different marketing strategies, how to get consistent results. Do Facebook. You better have written this down or taken a picture of it. That right there will make you $1 million. Just that little process right there. Learning how to get data and understand how to take it from 0. If you understand how to do that effectively, you will make money. So that's the thing that people don't understand. But the ratio of people who actually get inside of here, because I'm in a lot of other courses, I've gone through them, yada, yada, but this is designed in a very specific way. How it's organized, it's not just pre-recorded videos. There's more to it with a mastermind group and just getting direct help. It's a very specific structure, and that's led to such a high percentage of people actually getting results. So like Scott right here, course paid for itself while he slept. That's great. You know, $500, $550. It's just building those simple things, but that's such a small piece. Once you get this scaled, you can start making thousands of dollars a day. So it's just being able to go through that process and actually build that out so that you can then get the results. So a ton of different stuff. This is a cool one. I know I showed you guys this. Actually, no, it's not even in here. Right down here, Ariel though. If you guys saw Ariel in one of my YouTube videos, this is one I did. It got like 20,000 views, which was crazy. I actually filmed this with him like 2 days before I left and went to travel. which was really cool. Really good guy. I got to sit down and talk with him for a couple hours and hang out. But this is a DM from back when he first got the course. He was just in, he had just started e-commerce, no results. Within 5 days, he was hitting $700 a day. Within a couple months after that, he'd made 80 grand. $80,000 in 3 months, and he was about at the $40,000 to $50,000 a month level. And now I've directly helped him scale Facebook even further. So being able to use those results to then get other results. So he's now dominating. He was doing this stuff with Instagram influencers. The bulk of this 80,000 actually came from Instagram because he didn't know how to do Facebook. So he really focused in on Instagram, was getting the sales, and then like the person who won that last giveaway, get the sales and then take that data into Facebook. So that's why he's been able to scale so far. There's a lot of different stuff, but I'm gonna kind of try and just avoid a few people inside of here. If you're not gonna actually stay consistent with this, if you're not gonna go through and actually learn this process, how to get consistent results and understand what all of this means, then don't bother. It's really not that hard. You just have to do it. It's a plug and play process. I show you exactly what I do in front of you live in these videos, and I offer more help on top of that with the group. So just getting that direct help is what's really valuable. I know that's what helped me because I did not seek that information until my first 5 months of failure were over. And that's when I started getting results. So think about that time frame there. 5 months wasted and about $4,700, which I made a whole video on, in ads. So you gotta be very careful with that. But right now, like I said, you guys are never gonna see that price again. There's not a chance. Not even at the original $497 or $697. The price is going up. With this new stuff, this new module, it's straight fire. I'm not gonna lie, I've worked on it for the last month. All this different stuff with the new current marketing tactics. Jump inside of there, you guys. I'm gonna put this, I know you guys are probably gonna have to refresh. Let me show you this here. I'm actually gonna do this inside the description. You're gonna wanna probably refresh the live. So I think you're gonna have to refresh it right now. It should be good to go as soon as it's saved. It's saved. So refresh, you guys can jump inside of there. I'm gonna leave that up for the next 70 minutes. I'm gonna do 2 more giveaways and answer some questions before I jump off of here. But I wanna make sure you guys are crystal clear on this structure. Because this right here, all of these, you know, a lot of people just look at this as information. All this stuff, these different lines and arrows, and all this stuff with numbers and arrows, you know, jumping from other numbers, like all this stuff, people view that as just kind of noise. But that's what's allowed me to do this, create results like this. And I don't say that to brag at all because I'm not showing you my biggest stuff right here. This is just a daily basic screenshot from a couple different stores. I'm showing you what's possible. If you actually learn a skill, and this is why I put in these statistics right here, because 40 million students have student debt. This is terrible. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school because I knew I wouldn't learn a skill. Instead, I switched and I went and built a skill because I knew a skill would make me money and allow me to make money forever. So even if for whatever reason I can't make money for myself, I can go take my skills with marketing and advertising, take that to any company and go make them money. If you can make a company money, you will always be able to make money. Always. So that's why I put that in there because I didn't have to do all that. I just went and built a skill. And now I just did this. I traveled the world because I was kind of bored. I was like, sure, let's go see all these countries. I'd only traveled outside of the US once for 2 days when I was growing up. So to go to 8 different countries, or was it 9? 8 or 9 different countries in the last 4 months, it was crazy. So you guys are never going to see this price again, either of these, especially this. This is the lowest it's ever been ever. If you guys want access to that, jump inside of there. You're going to probably have to refresh it. The link is in there. All right. We're going to do 2 more things. Don't jump out of school, just don't go to university. I would kind of agree with that. I've made a couple videos talking about it. A lot of people just all right, it really depends on your situation. I made a crazy, I want to say, I kind of invested into myself. I took a crazy leap that was a little bit premature to do all that, but it was absolutely crazy. So I don't know if I'd fully recommend it, but have I ever been able to private label my products? Only one of them, but it wasn't a product where it was just my store. So I was just doing this for it. I was just doing the marketing. So I never really messed with that too much because in my opinion, and I know this to be a fact, so it's not really an opinion, all this stuff with AliExpress, there's probably millions of products on there, but there is just an abundance. There's so many different products on there, you don't need to necessarily go create your own. You can, if you want to then build a print-on-demand store, create your own designs, your own brand, all of that stuff, go right ahead. There's so many different ways you can do that. But here's why I recommend sticking with the simplest process ever. Very, very simple, one word: cash flow. Cash flow. I should write that down for you guys, because with this, you have no upfront cost. It's very simple. It's going to be the fastest way to get that money coming in. And once you have a stable income with that and it's scaling, then you can go focus on something else. So build that cash flow first. That's what's going to allow you to do stuff, because I was making money back when I was 16, and I didn't get this car till I was 17. I could have easily gotten it back here, but I got it because I was waiting. I was waiting to invest into all these other things. I was learning this process, and I was more so focused on just spending my money there and mastering that. And that's what was more interesting, and now that's allowed me the ability to do everything else. So it kind of all started off with these initial products. I know some of you probably laugh at the fidget spinner, but that was a really fun one because that was my first experience ever. Like, the fidget spinner is what taught me what Shopify was. I didn't even know what Shopify, like, what's that? Who's that? You know, it's a software, it's a platform. So it's kind of crazy to think. I'm going to answer a few. Can you legally use somebody else's print-on-demand designs for your own store? It's kind of a sketchy situation because a lot of people have not filed, like, for a patent or for copyright. So you're probably okay, but I don't think that's cool to do. I would definitely not recommend doing that. I definitely wouldn't. Have I tried Amazon FBA? I have not. I've learned a lot about it, but I just stick with Shopify. Won't be the original price, $700. It will not. It will not. It's going up because of the stuff that's going in, and I'm just going to focus on the current students who are already inside of there. It's just going to stay. It's going to go up. So all this stuff that's dropping inside of there, I'm going to probably make those open tonight or at the end of this weekend. So you guys who jump inside of there, you'll see that, but there's like 50 or 100 other videos already inside of there, 5 or 6 different modules. There's 2 specific modules just on Facebook. So really walking you through every single step of the process with Facebook ads. And right before that's a massive section on Instagram influencers. So just get inside of there and make sure you're actually going through it. Okay, go through that. I put a lot of effort into this. I mean, I've completely redone the entire program 3 times, perfected it over the last year, constantly changed, added, removed different things, because it's not just the content. Like I said, it was taking 2 people, or in this case, hundreds of people from different starting points. People who have $100,000 and want to get into this versus a 13-year-old who has $80, and they're in 2 completely different boats. But you got to push them through the same process and get them to the same end result. That's interesting. So that's what perfecting that structure was, but I did it. It was crazy. It's been a lot of fun, but now you guys can go and abuse that system. Take advantage of that. So it's like right here. Abuse a perfectly working system until you can't anymore. Literally whatever you want. I don't care what that is for you. If that's to be able to travel. Traveling was never one of my goals. I never wanted to do it at all. But then I decided once I moved to LA, I was just like, let's go see this. Let's go see the world. Let's try it. I wasn't really tied down by anything. All I did was put my car in storage and then I was gone. Okay? I was only supposed to go to Bali for like a month. And I went to Bali. I went to Thailand. Actually, before that, I went to Mexico and China. Then I went to Bali, Thailand, Malaysia, Russia, went to the Czech Republic, went to Amsterdam, and then went back home actually to the US to surprise my family in Minnesota. So it was crazy to see all of that, but that's what's been a lot of fun. And now seeing all this, again, these are just a couple out of the hundreds. But I'm going to ask you guys a very specific question. I know there's a lot of different stuff on all this stuff. A very specific question, and I'm curious to see who can get it right. Okay, I've got to figure out how I'm going to word this because a lot of people, I don't want it to be based on your experience level, okay? Out of all of the information that you've consumed anywhere else, the programs you've gone through, the people you've talked to, the seminars you've gone to, the whatever, all the information you've gotten, this live stream, what would you say with drop shipping through Shopify as a whole is the most important piece to focus on? And it cannot just be a general thing like marketing or product research. What's a very specific thing that you believe to be one of the or the most important pieces in building an e-commerce business when you're a beginner? What is that? What does that look like for you? What would you say if I asked you that right now? What's your answer? I'm going to give away a free entry into the e-commerce program. Free for one person. Get you plugged up inside of there. What is that for you? Take a minute to answer. I'm going to pick this one in a little while, so I'll give you guys a minute for that. Data collection, website setup, your audience, your customers. the reason why customers buy. The psychology behind that is huge. I've read a lot of books. I've studied a lot about that. I've actually focused more on the other stuff that doesn't even relate to Shopify directly. You know, studying psychology, why people buy, selling the invisible, which means, you know, selling a digital product, just because selling stuff online is very similar to that. Writing copy that sells, how people are convinced to do different things. Just more so studying the person, like the brain, and then that directly leads into business. So that's been really effective, and obviously I put that inside of the program. P, stay consistent, don't give up. Finding a mentor coach, that's huge. I'm talking about just once, like a very practical thing while you're running the store. Right, background. I'm looking for a specific one. Advertising your product to a specific person, that's huge. Got a lot. Keep dropping it, keep guessing. I'm gonna try and find it. Facebook marketing. Ooh, where is it? Skill set, fake it till you make it. You can't really fake it with Shopify. Like if you're trying to sell, if you're sitting behind your computer trying to sell a product, you just trick yourself into believing you're making money. Websites that don't look sketchy, where is it? I'm trying to find it. Boom, Carlos. This is the first one I saw. Carlos Perez, testing products and consistency with that. You guys, when it comes to, this is my favorite answer with it, testing all these different products, okay? When you're first getting into it, it's testing the niches. Then you're gonna have to learn how to test the products because you're still learning how to find them. And then the biggest thing is just testing. Whether it's all these Instagram influencers, you can't just give up after you do one thing, okay, and it doesn't work. You know how many things I did before it worked? Let me even go back real quick. Look at this, it's just a great live example. This that's working, okay, this is running off a lookalike audience, which means I already have data, and I'm running it off of that data for people who have similar interests, similar buying habits, all that. What does this little number say right here? I'm gonna zoom in slightly. 84 ad sets. That means just inside of this one campaign for one product on one store, it has so far tested 84 different ads. And they're not all running, but just off one campaign, 84 ad sets. That shows you the amount that we're testing. Okay, the amount that I test with these ads is more than you, I guarantee it. That has been such an important piece into why I've been able to do what I do. And the reason I know this is because now I know what I was doing wrong in the beginning. And if I can help you avoid that, that's amazing. But I was not testing. The people I was learning from were telling me to test, and I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, yeah, okay, I kind of understood it, but I never fully took that in, if that makes sense. I never focused on it, and it really screwed me over. So once I understood that, then I switched and I'm like, all right, they were probably right because they're making 6 figures a month. Let me focus in on this and now do that. So that's one of those things you have to really, really focus in on. Customer service is huge. It's not even more so because you can outsource it and have other, virtual assistants do it, but it's the habit of actually taking care of your customer. They have to have a good experience. That's going to be massive, extremely, extremely huge. So be sure to think about that. Who you're selling to is huge. Yeah, all this stuff, there's so much that goes into it. There's literally a lot. There's an absolutely unreal amount of it. So focus in on that. There's so much different stuff. Email marketing is massive. My virtual assistant stole my LLC. Huh. I don't know how they could do that. That's crazy. Yeah, learn from other people, all that stuff. If you can cut your learning curve, I made a whole video talking about it like 2-3 months ago. I spent $4,700. So let's just call it $5,000 over the course of a couple months trying to do marketing, and it just all failed. So if I would have been able to pay, $1,000, $2,000, or a couple $100, or in this case, $427, to then not only save the rest of that money, but not spend 5 months doing that, 5 months. Let's say you're going to live 100 years, okay? 100 years. That's about 1/200th of your entire life, not getting any results. 1/200, that's a pretty big chunk of your life, your entire life on earth. So just figure out how to cut your learning curve. And if you have to spend more money to do that, I would have rather spent $8,000 in 1 month instead of $5,000 over 5 months to then figure it out. It's speed and execution. Because once you start making money, then it's outweighed. Because if you spent $5,000 over 5 months to get it working versus $10,000 in 1 month, and then you're making $20,000 a month profit, it's that money you're making. It adds up and it exponentially scales. So there's so much different stuff that goes into it, you guys. Highly recommend you learn it, build the skill, because it's not just e-commerce here. You're building a skill that you can take anywhere for the rest of your life. You can learn, and you're building those good habits. So focus in on that. If anyone has any other specific questions, do my best to answer through some of those in a little while over the next couple minutes. Jump inside of there. That thing, we've got about 60 minutes, so 1 hour left. It's only open for 70 minutes to get that price point. You're probably going to have to refresh the live, and then the link will be there in the description. So jump inside there. Impulse buys. Good way to trigger that. Use very, very believable scarcity and or urgency. So on the website, a lot of people use apps and different plugins, stuff like Hurify, where it shows there's only 7 left. But that's so overused. You got to do other things. So one of my favorite strategies for that, and this is just one of many, I will actually go mark up the price of almost all the products on my store. So you're really only going to be marketing like 1 to 3 products. Usually at the beginning, you're just focusing on 1. So if you have 10 others, go triple the price. Like really increase it from $20 to $70. Really increase it, and then only have the 1 product you're marketing be on sale. And then aside from that, make sure you have really good conversions set up where it's just really going to convert. You know, good ad copy, good colors, good logo, good pictures, you know, really clear photos of people actually using the product. So you want to make it as believable as possible where it looks like such a good offer. That's massive. How many products should you have in your store to start, says Jacob. It really depends. So a lot of the stores I make are like 10 to 15 product stores, but I've had 1 product stores and I've done stores with 50. I really find the sweet spot to be like 5 to 25. But the thing is, I usually like to start the store with like a lower amount and then I add more in as I go. Because myself, I just really like to get it going as fast as possible. That's it. I just want to get those results fast. I think that's absolutely essential. So get that cash flow and then you can start focusing on other things. General or niche stores. I do niche and I'll tell you why. It allows you to be more focused and learn about one audience. So when you're first starting, you have to master one niche. You master the skill around that. And then you take the skills you learned and put it into other niches later. But it also has practical things that apply. Like now you don't need to separate your pixel. You gotta do all the custom conversions. It's just focused on one thing. You target one audience, because if you're doing 5 different niches and you're just doing that all under one pixel, like no custom conversions, that just means now Facebook's getting all these mixed signals in every direction of who these potential people who are interested in are, and they can't help you at all. So you're really gonna find some difficulty. The 84 ad sets are lookalike audience and duplicates. Yeah, most of those are all duplicates. A lot of them are initials that I launched, and then a lot are also duplicates off of that. So constantly testing, that's where it comes in, cutting out what's not working. Let me jump back to this. In order to see stuff like this with the ROAS, which is your return on the ad spend. Okay, all this different stuff. Getting a 4, 3, 3. I've gotten that up to, I'm not gonna say 70 because it's been 70, but that's just one purchase. By the time it gets optimized, you'll see stuff at 6, 7, 10, 12. It can be as high as that. So it's crazy to see once you actually master that process. So that's where I personally really focus my skills. What if a trend starts and it isn't in your niche? If you know, Steve, if you know that your product is good, stick with that. Focus in on it. You've already put in work, put in your resources into it. But just really, really focus in on that. You don't need to just switch. That's called shiny ball syndrome, where you're jumping from one thing to the next. Focus on one thing, stay in your own lane, you'll make it work. 250 sales enough to move effective lookalike? Yeah, you can definitely start testing that, Anthony. I really like to come with like 300 to 500, but 250, definitely start testing it. But don't stop doing whatever got you those sales. That's a big thing. Don't just completely stop. Keep getting more. Can a 13-year-old jump inside the program? Of course. The biggest one that I actually got, the biggest like testimony, was from a 15-year-old. He made $54,000 in one day. That blew my mind. That was with influencers, but still, it's unreal. Dropshipping from China is difficult because of Wish. Yeah, that's why I got some very specific strategies that revolve around Wish and AliExpress when it comes to Facebook. Just got to find a way around it. I know how to actually use that to my advantage. A lot of different stuff. Does sending the product to the influencer still work? That really works, but only with one type of this. Let me go up to where I found this. That works with these, with personal brands, okay? When it's someone like, I really do that with models, and I don't do too much influencers, but if I was to do a shout out right now with, again, let's just use Kim Kardashian for the example since we already did. I would not just want her to post a picture of it on a white background like this. I would want a picture of her using the product, like in action. That builds so much more trust. You do have to be careful because some of them will end up taking the product and not really posting it. That can happen, but it's not too big of a deal. Also, it takes a long time sometimes to send the product to them. Scurry, it is $427. I dropped it 70 from the original $497. It's the lowest it's ever been, lowest it'll ever be. Best time of the day to post an ad. I really center everything because I primarily focus on just targeting the US. I center it around the earlier in the day, California time. So if you think about it, Pacific Standard Time, which is the 3 p.m. time zone I launched this live on, I do it more early in the day. So that's why I usually wake up early and then I spend like the first 4 to 5 hours of my day launching new ads. And then later in the day, I can duplicate or change them. But really in the morning in Pacific Standard Time, if you're targeting the US. So that's what I focus on. Then once I start going to other countries, it kind of doesn't matter. But of course, a long time ago, does it update? Yes, it does. That'll be up inside of there soon. How much would you spend on an influencer if you had a starting budget of $500? Probably about $100, but be very careful with who you pick. Be extremely selective. Go through the influencer section before you even think about sending money to someone. Go through the influencer section side of the program first. That'll save you money and make sure it works. That's huge. Also, inside of the new part in Facebook, I talk about how to do Facebook ads with only $500. So I know a lot of people are starting with lower amounts of money, but running it with a low budget, very important. It's tough, but you can do it. So there's just some big common mistakes that people make. Luca, how to pay taxes when drop shipping? It's just regular business income tax. It is. So I would meet with a CPA once you start making money. Don't worry about it if you're not making money. A lot of different stuff. Can you do it for 300 euros to run ads? Yeah, you could. Tips for young Shopify store owners. I'm 14 years old. Dude, just build the skills. You're young. I wish I started e-commerce when I was 14. I was busy doing other stuff. So I would definitely rock with that. Just learn a skill, slowly build into it. I know younger people, myself included, are impatient. So you want it to happen fast, but really keep the big picture in mind. You know, your goal by the time you're 16, you should have cash flow. You'd be more than fine to buy whatever car you want, do whatever you want. So over the next 2 years, really build the skill, slowly start testing, you'll start making money. So just focus in on that, you guys. There's a lot of other stuff, but it's been amazing. Honestly, e-commerce, my favorite thing by far, just because, like I said, while it was a front-end loaded business model, where did I even say that? I don't even know where I put that. Front-end loaded business model. But that's with the type of effort. But here's the thing. It's only the front end. So the way I do things, it lasts a lot longer. So I do a lot of work over like 3 to 4 weeks and then I'm done. Like it's only like an hour a month of work. So then I go use the effort again on another thing. So I'm constantly, people see me always putting in effort and always staying late. That's not because I have to do that to maintain what I'm doing. I don't. It becomes less. I do that because then I'm constantly adding more things on top and increasing the income and more businesses and more income streams. So that's why I'm doing that. That's why I love e-commerce. It's the best thing ever. So it's been fun. I mean, even one of these days right here, you know, one of the stores, like literally just one of this, if you're doing 2.7K a day, that's like 80, 90 grand a month. That pays off the car. There you go. Done. You know, simple, whatever you want to do. You just got to build up to that point. So take advantage of this. I've never done this. Hundreds of people have asked for discounts in my DM. I always shoot them down and say no, not a chance, because of what's in there will make you millions of dollars. It will. If you go ahead and use that. Go apply that. Go actually go through it, study it, learn it, master it, execute upon it, and make it happen. And then come back to me in a few months. Let me know how it's going. If you're starting to make 10, 20, 30, 40 grand a month, that's perfect. Come to me and I will run your Facebook ads for you. I've been doing that for a good amount of people. So if you don't have 10 grand, 5 grand, whatever to start up with, use the program to then get your cash flow up. Start making 500 bucks a day. Do that for a little while, get sales, then we can talk and I'll just directly blow it up for you. So use this to get the cash flow to do other things, whatever that is for you. So a lot of different stuff inside of there. I hope you guys got value off of this. That's going to be up for about another hour or so. Hit the top link in the description. If you don't see the link there, refresh it on there. I'm going to put in a few of the last YouTube videos as well, just in the description, so you guys will be able to find it. Everything's updated on there. Those new videos and the new module will be going in very shortly. So focus on that. Be able to create whatever results you want, whether it's 96 grand in 1 month while you're 17 or while you're 40 and you want to leave your job by being able to make an extra 6 grand a month. Whatever that is for you. But you need to realize it's scalable. So if your goal is 5 grand a month, once you make 5 grand, you're not going to care about 5 grand anymore. You're going to be figuring out how to make 10, and you're going to do it. And then you're going to make 20, then 50, then 100. It's just that scale because it's not a cap. There's no cap when it comes to e-commerce. So unlike a regular job where you're working for $15 an hour, you can only theoretically work 24 hours a day, 365. So there is a technical cap on the amount of money you can make, not with running your own business. So that's why I like e-commerce, literally like the lowest startup business ever, and it gets you like the fastest results. All these other businesses right here, where even is it? Yeah, 8 out of 10 like legitimate brick and mortar businesses, 18 months, they fail. Shopify's fast. You see these people fail quick. They fail within 3 months. So it's either going to fail or work a lot faster. So you're not waiting 2 years to start making money. That's just ridiculous. Start making money quick. Use the internet. Use the tools that you have. Use it to your advantage. Like Ariel crushing it, making all this money. There's so many students left and right crushing inside of there. It's amazing to see. So I look forward to you guys being another one. For real. Let me know how it goes. Shoot a message in the group. Ask questions. Get help. Take advantage of the resources, you guys. So other than that, I hope everyone got value off this. Let me know if you guys enjoyed. For all the giveaway winners, be sure to hit me up on Instagram. Shoot me a DM, or if you have my email, which I don't think you do, let me know. How to scale, Facebook daily budget, all of that is covered inside well, actually Victoria, I don't know if you're talking about Facebook or Victorio. I don't know if you're talking about Facebook or Instagram. It's two very different things. That's all covered inside of there. So jump inside of there, go through it. Selling shirts with wrappers on it, kind of made $4,000 a day. Should I keep doing this or stop? Depending on what you're doing, you could get a little bit in trouble for copyright, but a lot of people are making a lot of money. Let me know though, shoot me a DM. I can give you an answer if you show me more about what's going on. So other than that, you guys, I hope you enjoyed it. We've been on here for about an hour and a half. I'm going to jump off. I appreciate the support. I appreciate your guys' attention throughout it. There's a ton of other content on this channel. So a lot of more, you might see me talk about literally everything, but that's still just that first crust. That's the layer. That's one layer. You got to go multiple layers deep. Peel it back, learn the skills. That's what this is. So jump inside of the program. Be sure to subscribe, by the way, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube. I appreciate all the support. We're well past, I think we passed 74,000 subs. I love it. I appreciate you guys very much. I'm going to go grab some food. I hope you all have an excellent night, excellent morning. I know a lot of you guys are like up at 4 a.m. I respect the hustle. I really do. That's the skill, that's the habit that's going to get you where you want to be, whether it's with e-commerce or anything else. So other than that, like ball out, favorite vlogs. I will see you at the top, you guys. Enjoy.